If you want to change your life, keep listening to this episode.
You're a voice actor. You're an entrepreneur. You're a VOPRENEUR. Welcome to the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceZam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicezam and receive 3 months of VoiceZam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicezam.
The VOPRENEUR podcast. Hey, it doesn't suck.
Not as funny as Conan. Not as cute as Seth Meyers. Not as smart as Colbert. But he's one of us, and that counts for something. Here's Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOPRENEUR.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Everyday VOpreneur podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover. I'm Mark Scott, looking forward to spending a little bit of time with you today, talking to you about things that are going to change your life and change your business. Remember, the Everyday VOpreneur podcast is available everywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and Podbean. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you enjoy listening. You'll never have to miss another episode again. And while you're at it, I would love it if you would take a minute to leave a review for the podcast. Apple Podcast reviews in particular help other people to be able to find the podcast and get the information that is offered inside of it. I'd also like to take a minute to point you to our website at VOPRENEUR.com. That is a place where you can go and check out every episode of the podcast. You can download it, any of them from the archives, but it's also a place where you can pick up your VOPRENEUR swag. Pick up a VOPRENEUR t-shirt, pick up a VOPRENEUR hoodie, wear it proudly, and let people know what it is that you do for a living. Start a couple of conversations by people asking, what the heck is a VOPRENEUR? You can do that by going to VOPRENEUR.com and clicking on the shop button. So today I want to talk to you about something that is really, really important to me, something that literally changed the trajectory of my life and of my business. Now, I know that probably sounds like an overstatement, but I promise you that it is not. Before we get there, let's go back a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to take my kids birthday shopping for mommy. They had it in their minds what they wanted to get her for her birthday, so off we go to the mall. And my 7-year-old, my daughter, my youngest, she had decided that there were 2 things that she wanted to be able to get for mommy. She wanted to buy mommy a necklace, and she wanted to buy mommy a book. And I love that she wanted to buy mommy a book. I have actually been working really hard to instill in my kids the value of reading, the importance of reading. And so my youngest is always seeing me sitting around the house reading, and she has absolutely picked up the habit of reading every single day, and she wanted to be able to do the same for mommy. So as we were walking around the mall, we head into a bookstore. Those still exist. For those of you who may not have been aware, there are places that you can buy books outside of Amazon where you can actually walk in, pick them up, touch them, hold them. It's an amazing, beautiful thing. So we walk into this bookstore, and my 7-year-old is on a mission to find a book for mommy. Now, I have no idea what kind of book she's going to buy. I have no idea what is going through her head. I have no idea what she is looking for, but I figure my responsibility as the dad is to simply hand over the cash when we get to the checkout. I'm going to let her pick out the gift that she wants to get for mommy. So we walk up and down the aisles of the store, looking at all of the different sections. So she finds this book with a bright orange cover, and it has the word awesome in huge letters. And so it immediately grabs her attention. She looks over at me and she says, "Daddy, do you think this would be a good book?" And I look at it, and the title is You Are Awesome. Now, immediately I'm drawn to it because of the orange cover. Admittedly, at that point, they pretty much had me hooked. But when I picked up the book and took a look at it, I all of a sudden had a flashback. It took me back to the summer of 2010. You see, this book that my 7-year-old had picked up to buy for mommy was a book that was written by a guy named Neil Pasricha. Or at least I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name. But I recognized it immediately. And this is where our story begins. It is the summer of 2010, and a new title comes out. It is called The Book of Awesome, and it is from the author of the blog 1000 Awesome Things. Now, I can't remember exactly how I heard about this book, but I ordered it. I did get it from Amazon, by the way. I didn't go to the bookstore, but I did get a hard copy of it. So I have a hardcover copy of the Book of Awesome. And basically what this book is it's a collection of 1,000 awesome things. And we're talking about things like snow days, bakery air, finding money in your pocket, just the simple little things, the simple little pleasures and joys that exist in life that we often miss and that we often overlook. So I get this book and I start reading it. And immediately, I realize that I have a problem. You see, all of my life up to this point, I had a victim mentality. I could find a problem for every solution. I could find the negative in anything. I could find a way to take the best day and turn it into the worst day. And it's not that I meant to be that way or that I wanted to be that way. It's just that that's kind of how I had ended up, and I didn't even fully realize it. And so as I'm reading this book, and I'm seeing this guy celebrate some of the simplest joys in life, I'm inspired. Fast forward a little bit to January of 2011. I decide for my New Year's resolution that I am going to write a blog for 365 days called One Good Thing. And my objective is very simple. Every single day, before I am allowed to go to bed at night, I have to take a few minutes to write about one good thing that happened to me that day. It doesn't matter if it was the worst day of my life, like if one of my closest family members died that day. I was forcing myself, no matter what, to look for one good thing, no matter how big or how small. And the idea behind this was that I was going to reprogram my brain. I wanted to reprogram myself from a glass half empty guy to a glass half full guy. I wanted to reprogram myself so that rather than finding the negative in every scenario, I was immediately by default going to be able to find the positive. And I want to clarify something. That doesn't mean that my life was going to become sunshine and rainbows. That was not the goal. The goal was to change my mindset. It was to shift my attitude so that even when bad things were happening, I could find a reason for joy. So that even when things were going wrong, I wouldn't dwell on it because I would find a reason for joy. It didn't mean that I didn't get upset or that I didn't get frustrated or that I didn't have bad days, but it did mean that I didn't dwell on those things. It did mean that when bad things happened, I didn't let it ruin the rest of my day. So I did it. I set out to do it, and I did it. For the entire year of 2011, every single day before I went to bed, I found one good thing to be thankful for. And what I did was I created a new habit. What I did was reprogram my brain. What I did was shift my entire perspective. I stopped being a victim of everything that was going on. I stopped letting everything bring me down. I stopped getting caught up in all of the drama, all of the negativity, all of the angst. I mean, seriously, turn on the news for more than 12 seconds and you're already depressed, no matter how good of a day you're having. Go on social media for more than 12 seconds and you're already depressed, no matter how good of a day you're having. We are inundated with negative programming. We are inundated with it from the news. We are inundated with it from our friends, from our family, from our social media streams, from our bosses. Everywhere we turn around, there is some sort of negative narrative being fed into us. And it is really depressing. And that is not how I wanted to live. So I needed to find a way to flip the script. And that meant reprogramming my brain. I am not a psychologist, but this worked. 2011 was the year when everything started to change for me. 2011 was the year that I moved into what I thought was going to be my forever radio job. The radio job that ultimately ended up lasting only several months, which ultimately ended up resulting in my voiceover business. Now, let me tell you something right now. When I got laid off in January of 2012, and I shared this story in episode 48 of the podcast on the exit strategy, when I got laid off, there was a moment where I sat in my car and I cried. And I fully admitted that. But over time, I began to realize that this was the greatest thing that ever could have happened to me. Now, if this had happened in 2010, I would not have been equipped to deal with it. It would have been the end for me because of the negative headspace that I lived in. But because I had spent all of 2011 intentionally reprogramming my brain, intentionally building a habit and attitude of gratitude, I know that that was part of what set the stage for me to be able to survive losing that radio job and having the courage to pursue my voiceover dream, because I wasn't a victim anymore. Life wasn't happening to me. Life was happening for me. And that was a game changer. Now, the reason why this all came up goes back to my daughter finding this new book, which I'm very much looking forward to. And I've already been pressuring my wife to hurry up and finish because I want to read it too. But as soon as I saw it, I immediately thought back to 2011. And I thought about that blog, and I thought about that experiment that I conducted on myself to reprogram and retrain my brain. And the reason why I hadn't thought about it in so long was because I didn't have to think about it anymore, because it had become a habit. It had become second nature. I am not one that gets easily swayed by circumstances anymore. Doesn't mean that I don't have bad days. It doesn't mean there aren't things that really tick me off, but it also means that I don't let those things dictate my attitude. I don't let them control how my day is going to go. I don't let them alter my mood. I don't let them shift my attitude. I acknowledge them. I deal with it in whatever way I need to. And then I just get back to doing the good work, thinking about the good things. Even though I don't write that blog anymore, the habit still continues. And I guess I didn't even really think about it until I saw this book that my daughter bought. But I realized that because I keep a journal, a daily planner/journal, every day before I shut down my office for the day, I write in my daily planner just a brief recap of my day, of the things that I did or whatever, just to get stuff out of my head. But I'm always writing it from a positive mindset. I'm not writing negative things like I failed at this, or I didn't accomplish this, or I didn't achieve this. I'm not dwelling on those things. I'm focusing on the wins. And I'm always operating from a place of gratitude. The reason why I said at the beginning that if you wanted to change your life, you need to keep listening to this podcast, because this is what I want to challenge you with. First of all, I would say if you've never read it, you absolutely should go to your library or your local bookstore or Amazon if you need to, and order yourself a copy of The Book of Awesome. The Book of Awesome by Neil Pasricha. Neil Pasricha? I don't even know. By Neil. Get Neil's book. I'll put a link to it in the show notes so that you can find it. Buy this book and read this book. Start there. Because just with the simple act of reading this book, it's going to shift your attitude. Because it's going to remind you about all of these amazing things that are part of your daily life experience that you just don't even think about anymore. They've gotten lost in all of the noise of daily life. And so just the simple act of reading this book alone is going to bring some of those things back into the forefront of your mind. And it's going to get you thinking about some of these things. There's going to be a lot of nostalgic moments for you as you read this book. And that in and of itself is going to have a profound impact on your attitude. But then I would encourage you to take it one step further. Then I would encourage you to do exactly what I did. Commit to 1 year of one good thing. Commit to 1 year of wrapping up every day, no matter what goes on, with finding one good thing. It could be something as simple as the feeling of your favorite pen in your hand while you write in your planner. Or it could be something as major as signing with the agent you've always wanted to get connected with, or signing with a client that you've always wanted to work for, or booking a national commercial for the first time. It could be the first time that you made $1,000 in a month, or it might be the first time that you made $1,000 in a week, or maybe it's the first time you made $1,000 in a day. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how small it is. Just the simple act of sitting down at the end of the day and reflecting back on the day through that lens, that in and of itself is life-changing because it forces you to look at your life and look at your day from a different perspective. Not from a victim mindset, not from a place of frustration or depression or discouragement if you didn't have a good day or things didn't go your way. It forces you into a place of gratitude. And let me tell you something, that is a really, really awesome place to live your life. So that's how this episode can change your life. Do the exact same thing that I did, and I can tell you that it changed my life. After my daughter gave the book to my wife was sitting there and looking at it, and, she was intrigued by it, and obviously she loved it because it came from her baby girl, and she picked it out all by herself. Daddy had nothing to do with it, I swear. After the girls had gone to bed, I took my wife and I sat down with her and I said, look, let me tell you a little bit about this book. And I told her the story that I just told you. I told her about how this guy's original book in 2010 was a life-changing moment for me. The simple act of buying a book and reading it was a life-changing moment for me because it set me on this journey that literally changed everything. And I hope that you'll do the same thing too. This industry that we work in, this voiceover industry, it can be a beautiful, wonderful, amazing industry. It has provided opportunities for me and my family that I never would have been able to get access to if I was still working in radio. But man, I'll tell you what, some days this industry can be soul-crushing. Some days this industry can just kick you down because you did the marketing and it didn't result in anything, or you sent a whole bunch of emails and nobody replied, or you submitted a whole bunch of auditions and you didn't book any of them, or they didn't even get listened to, or you've fallen short of your goals. Maybe you're struggling to make any income at all right now. I get it. I know how hard this industry can be. I worked in this industry before I wrote that One Good Thing blog, and I had a lot of those similar experiences. So trust me, I absolutely get it. That's why we need this. That's why we need this mindset shift that brings us to a place of gratitude. So that on the days when you don't book the job, on the days when you fall short of your goals, on the days when things just aren't going your way, you don't get stuck there. You don't get stuck there because with purpose and intention, you find one thing to be grateful for that can turn your entire perspective around. And then you get up the next day and you start new. You get up the next day and you start with a clean slate. Because I promise you this, walking into the office or walking into the booth with a clean slate and an attitude of gratitude, that is going to produce 1,000 times more results than walking into the booth or the office in a place of anger or frustration or victimhood. Take the time to find one good thing. Do it for a year and reach out to me 1 year from now and tell me how it changed your life, because I would love to hear all about it. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of the podcast. I really hope that you've enjoyed this one. This is a really special one to me because it was good for me even to just remember that journey a little bit. And I'm so glad that my baby girl bought that book and brought all of that back for me. Check out the Book of Awesome and check out You Are Awesome. I will link both of those in the show notes so that you can find those easily on Amazon or wherever it is that you like to buy books. Thanks again for subscribing. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and don't forget you can listen to any episode anytime at VOPRENEUR.com. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.
The Everyday VOpreneur Podcast. Available everywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. Mostly, we think.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceZam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicezam and receive 3 months of VoiceZam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicezam.
And scene.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for hanging out. Want more VOpreneur goodness? Jump online at VOPRENEUR.com.